On the second thing, I don't think in general, I don't think Melina, well, let me finish. I don't think that Melina's issue is that she thinks that men are docile creatures that are soft and emotional or whatever. I think Melina's issue, and probably what I would say as well, is that men and women can both exhibit masculine and feminine traits, or men and women can both exhibit like alpha dominant traits and like submissive, feminine, and emotional traits. It really just depends on the time and place, and it depends on the person.
Right. And I'll address the first thing. I never condone violence to women. I have a nonprofit that literally is all about it. But when I mean like very frustrated with women, and sometimes these men they do take, this was another argument we had. They take out their emotions in a way that's not correct and they hurt another human. And she was saying, oh, that makes men more emotional. And I was saying, no, incorrect. That makes men incapable of managing their emotions because they've never been taught how to. And that was a huge thing. She's like, men are more emotional than women. And I'm like, no, they're not. They absolutely are not. Like, just from the standpoint of, you guys mostly have testosterone running through your veins. We have a myriad of estrogen, progesterone. We have a little testosterone too, which brings me to my next point of what you were saying is absolutely correct. We as men and women both do have masculine and feminine energy in us. Literally, if you were to cut the body down the half, the left side is the feminine, the right side is the masculine. And we have not equal, but we Obviously. Have those energies that play into our being. So for instance, the reason why you were attracted to Melina is because your inner feminine was attracted to her inner masculine and vice versa.
And because she's hot.
Stop.
Sorry, what'd you say?
And because she's hot.
Okay, perhaps that as well. But there's still there was a dynamic that played into that connection, because we go back to the basics of science, and everything in the universe is energy, like everything from the smallest little atom.
Let's do a little point by point on this. I don't understand what you mean when you say men aren't emotional, but they have or as emotional as women, but they have testosterone flowing through them. Wouldn't that be a reason why people could be more emotional? Is because they have testosterone? Like, does anger not count as an emotion for you?
No, it is an emotion. Okay, so then perhaps there's clarification needed on what that means. When she was saying emotional, the prompt, I have to go back and think exactly what the prompt was. But I think we were talking, I don't know. Help me if you can remember, Alex, what the prompt was. But
well, I know, because me and Melina have had this conversation before, that there's an argument that's used oftentimes that women are the emotional ones and men are not the emotional ones, so they're the stoic ones. But in my opinion, that's just wholly not true. Men are quite emotional, and if you look at things like violent crime or whatever, I mean, like, what's a more raw emotion than anger or stuff that's expressed as violence? Like, so, and men get very angry and very violent, depending on the circumstance. So it just seems weird to try to say that like men are less emotional than women. Women are probably more emotional in certain types of ways, and men are probably more emotional in other types of ways. But I don't know if I could draw like an absolute value saying one sex is more emotional than the other. That seems like very reductive and impossible to measure.
Well, I think I think that there's a difference in regards to the emotions. You're correct. Anger is an emotion, and men often they're privy to that because it's single pointed focus for the masculine energy. Men are typically, there's tons of books written about it, TED Talks. No one's great at multitasking, but if anyone is good at it, it's women. We can juggle and balance a lot of things because we're supposed to be mothers. We're supposed to have children. That's why I can run a business and take care of a son and have a nonprofit and do a lot of stuff. Like, I can be doing my yoni eggs, Kegels right now while I'm doing this podcast with you. Like, I can do multiple things at once, So exactly. YoFactors.com, check out my shop. You can buy the yoni eggs there. But anyways, but men are not great at that. You guys are more successful if you look at it. Like,
Are you great at doing Kegels?
Stop. I am doing Kegels. Go ahead.
He's probably squeezing up on his perineum, which is great too for men. But in regards to like the fact that you guys are single pointed focus, which is why most of you, who are the top YouTubers in the planet, they're mostly men. I know who they are, and some of them are, there's a couple women that make the cut. But as a rule of thumb, most women are not Pearly. And Pearly, with all due respect to her, she is I consider her a colleague and somewhat of a friend. Let me say this very carefully because I know this is going to get back to her. When you look at her at first, you don't necessarily see, feminine women. But when she talks and her point of view is quite feminine in regards to the roles of masculine and femininity. I hope I said that, PC, because I don't mean any ill will towards Pearly. If you look at your girlfriend or your wife, Melina, she actually kind of does look quite feminine. When you saw her, she was like me. She had a nice dress on, her hair done, but then she opened her mouth and that was all undone. So I think in regards to, yes, men have a lot of emotions too. However, the emotion that they mostly go to is anger. Boom, they punch someone, it's over. They're very successful because their brain is more pronounced and more focused in this region. Where women, we have a myriad of emotions. Earlier, I was not happy. Now I'm happy. Now I'm angry at you. Now I want to have an O. Now it's like we're always changing, and that is the feminine. Men are not like that as much unless they're quite feminine or unless they're beta or the S word that everyone likes to throw out. So that is like when it comes to a man that you want to look up to and to take care of your children. I don't know if you have children, but to like provide for your seed. Do I want a man whose emotions are like this, up and then down, and then I'm mad, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm lost, I can't make a decision? Or do I want a man that's like, I know what I'm doing right now, boom, and they do it? And that's what I want in a man. I would never date a beta. So I agree with you on men are emotional too, but they channel that into the gym or into that's why men are more successful than women. There, I said it. That's why.
Yeah, so I think. I understand what you're saying. I mean, I disagree with literally every single thing you've said. I think to reframe almost everything you said, like I can agree in general that you don't want to be with like a more emotional person or an unstable person. I never understood why you guys gender this stuff. Like all the bad things you're describing of being like with an emotionally unstable guy who's changing his feelings. Like nobody would want to be with a woman like that. Like those are just bad qualities for anybody.
Okay. I mean, that's very interesting. I find that quite fascinating because, yeah, you're right. People don't want, especially men who have massive empires that they're creating and that they're building, multi-million-dollar men. If you look, or billion rather, if you look at the most successful men in the world, behind them, you've always seen a woman who's kind of in the background, who's probably not crazy. Like you look at what is Trump and his wife. You look at Bill Gates. You look at Elon, you look at the guy from Amazon, Bezos, even though now he's traded, divorced and got, a baddie, like an older age appropriate baddie. Shout out to him for that. Like all these things, you see these women who were really holding it down. And if you ask them, hey, was your woman unstable? They would probably say no. She kept her emotions together, but did she change a lot? And they would say, absolutely, yes. She was, this way, this moment. In this moment, she was very nurturing because she was taking care of our children. In another moment, she might have been upset at me for an argument we had.
Yeah, this thing you're talking about, like changing up or whatever, like any successful, reasonable person has to do this. This isn't just like a man, or like a man has to step into, especially if you're going to talk about like founding businesses, like men have to step into all sorts of different roles for that. At one point, you might be dealing with an honorary client. At another moment, you might have to deal with an employee that works in like actual like hands-on manufacturing. At another moment, you might have to deal with a vendor that you have to like buy and sell things from. And another moment, you might have to go home and deal with your family. Like this thing of like changing mental states and dealing with a variety of types of situations that call for different types of emotional states, I don't think is unique to men or women. And I would say the most successful men are also going to exhibit these like changes in emotions as well.
When you said, to go back to, you said, why does this have to go back to gender? Well, because it does. Because everything in the universe does have absolutes. We live in this, really leftist liberal world now. I don't. I'm in Newport Beach where everyone is extremely conservative.
We're neighbors.
You're in Newport?
Laguna, hence De Laguna. Is my name.
You guys are in Laguna Beach, really?
No, he's in Miami. I am in
I only go down to visit her mom.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Laguna.
But
okay.
It's nice.
Yeah,
I consider him a stepdad.
Everyone always tells me, oh, move to Laguna because it's like Hippieville, you'd fit in there. And I'm like, yeah, rich Hippieville, but you can't get out of Laguna.
Yeah, guys, let's keep it on point.
Okay, all right. We're just doing a little bit of neighborly chatting. But anyways, in regards to
that singular focus, Alex just did that masculine thing. Yeah,
nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, extremely
that's it. And then I got sidetracked because, a woman, just look at her hormones and her cycle.
Right. You keep showing like the
I see your cycle right now.
opportune-
It's coming out.
Yeah, you keep showing like the epitome of femininity. For instance, when I think of the
Thank you,
epitome of femininity, I'm thinking of like a woman whipping out a whiteboard and explaining why all other women are whores. That's like the pinnacle of femininity. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Melina's a masculine one, and all the women that you named are ultra feminine all the way.
Correct. Well, I'm just saying that.
Chill.
What is your name? I don't know what your name is. I'm
Nobody
sorry.
does. It's
Lauren.
Damn, I was gonna think of something
Shut
funny.
up.
I don't think of it at a time. Zerka. It's Zerka.
Laura?
Lauren. Sorry, go ahead.
It's Lauren.
Lauren. My apologies, Lauren.
No worries.
You're quite beautiful. Thank you so much for chiming in on that. You're correct. I'm very I'm not single pointed focused at all. That's why when I teach my retreats, I do better when I have my counterpart who he played in the NFL. He's in the mindfulness community, and he'd be like, okay, Shakti, here's what we need to do. You went off on a tangent, because that's how women's brains work. We sort of it's been proven that men speak X amount more thousands less words than women do. We just operate differently. And you're right. You do have to be, Destiny, in a position where you have a business. I'm sure you have a lot of people who help you run your business, or I don't know, maybe you do it alone, but it would seem like you'd have a team. And so you're delegating and you're doing this, but your range of emotions are staying fairly much so the same, which is why a lot of times women get frustrated with men because they don't get more emote. They don't get that emotional. Why doesn't he text me his undying love for me? He's busy. He's creating, he's working, he's doing stuff. Like, if you want all that lovey-dovey stuff, then maybe date a woman, or maybe date a beta man, because perhaps you might get that then.
I've been trying to date.
Stop. Sorry.
You're trying to date Melina?
No, she's.
No, I'm kidding.
Just
I'm kidding.
ignore
Go
her.
ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
You would definitely, probably make on nice with her in that respect. But no, I think, and in regards to living in this blank society where there's no absolutes and that everyone can just pick a gender, like, it just doesn't work that way. I want to be Kim Kardashian, but that doesn't mean I can just say, oh, I identify as her and today I become her because we have dark hair and I'm ethnic, I'm from Morocco. Like, it doesn't work like that, And
okay. So yeah, so this, you have like, so I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to say to get through to you, because I think you have like an entire worldview that's built on like all of these things that are all hinged off of one another. So I don't know if you're going to change your mind on any particular thing. So I guess I'll just give my quick spiel, and then I don't know if we're ever going to connect in this conversation just based on what I'm hearing. I think that you have men and you've got women, and I think there are some differences, but I think we're like 90% similar, and then you've got like 10% is like some masculine idea, and then 10% is some feminine idea. The idea that men and women are so unbelievably dissimilar, and there are all these positive masculine traits, and if women exhibit any of them, that's bad, and there's these positive feminine traits, and if men exhibit any of them, that's bad. I think it's a really toxic way of thinking. I think it's damaging to relationships. I think it's adversarial for dating, and I think it gives people a really skewed and disgusting perspective of the world. If you're a man and you go into a relationship expecting you to just be ultra masculine and exhibit no traits that are related to femininity, like being able to communicate, being able to emotionally regulate, stuff like this, you're going to fail in every single relationship you go in, and women aren't going to want to deal with you. No woman wants a man like that, except maybe in these spaces some women will pretend to, but they won't actually ever go after those men, because they'll date them for 1 year and then quit and be like, why was I with these schizoids? Mm-hmm. And then same thing with the same thing on the other end. This idea that like women are emotional and they have this trouble like, managing any tasks and blah, blah, blah. Like when you look at these feminine traits you describe, you're essentially describing like children or children sometimes. And no man wants to date a woman that like can't emotionally regulate. No man wants to date a woman that is like crying and breaking down and going through all these phases and can't handle anything whatsoever. I think every human being has a healthy balance of masculine and feminine encompassed traits inside of them that they can manage really well and deploy at specific situations. Like in some cases, like masculine men exhibiting feminine traits is the most attractive thing in the world, and feminine women exhibiting masculine traits and being able to handle their shit can be the most attractive thing in the world. I don't like the hyper dichotomization between male and female, because I think it just doesn't map onto any part of reality, and it just sets everybody else up to have like a really horrible time. Yeah.
Tell me, just answer me this question. You are correct in a few things you said, and a few of them are it's just so far left, and so like anyone can be a tree or whatever, like that.
I don't believe anyone can be a tree, to be clear. But go ahead.
Only trees can be trees, right?
True.
You don't have a children, so I did take offense to the R word in regards to children, and thankfully my son is super healthy. So, but
to be clear, I do have a son and he has ADHD, so he's basically so I think I get to say. But go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I stand corrected. I digress.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.